What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the Mid-Level Media channel, your hub for everything physical media and entertainment. I am Ken, and today we're going to dive into part 2 of my Q&A questions. So I left a lot of questions unanswered from my part 1. If you guys haven't checked that out, definitely go back and check that out. So I wanted to make sure I answered everybody's question from this community post that I put up a couple of weeks ago. I apologize for being a little bit late getting to this questions, but yeah, I pretty much, I haven't really, can you tell I haven't really changed anything? This is the exact same day. I actually just filmed part 1, I think like 10 minutes ago. I'm still wearing the same shirt. The only thing that I did was go upstairs and refill my coffee. So yeah, I'm excited to get into these new questions. But before I do that, guys, I want to ask that if it's your first time discovering me on YouTube, again, weird video to jump in on, but I appreciate you being here. Hit the subscribe button. We talk all things physical media, Blu-rays, 4Ks, and movies and all that stuff on this channel. So definitely hit the subscribe button. Also like this video and comment down below if you have any comments on anything that we discuss here today. Also be sure to turn on those bell notifications for all future videos. So let's jump right into it. First question comes from Steve Mars, and he asks, would love for you to do a Michael J. Fox review series for the month of June, which is the month he was born. So first off, in terms of Michael J. Fox, I would love to do a review series on Michael J. Fox. He is one of my all-time favorites. I love Back to the Future. It's one of my all-time favorite franchises. The Frighteners is one of my favorite horror movies of all time, if you would call it that. Maybe that's a horror comedy. And I love Michael J. Fox. Doc Hollywood, I used to love growing up. Secret of My Success. I dove into a couple of his other movies last year. I think Bright Lights, Big City. So there's definitely a lot of other Michael J. Fox movies that I would love to dive into because I know he has a pretty extensive filmography. I think the Buddy Cop movie I watched with him and James Wood, The Hard Way, that was a really fun one. So yeah, that would be a really cool, I could revisit Teen Wolf and stuff. So that would be a cool month. I will say though, Steve, I'm getting a lot of people that recommend different things for me to do for different months. And I always appreciate it because it honestly does get the creative juices flowing a little bit. But what I will say is I do these months, I have to be the one that I guess kind of picks and feels out what I'm going to do for the month, because I'm basing a lot of these decisions on not really what I think that you guys want to see, but on stuff that I feel like I need to dive into a little bit more. I do keep you guys in mind on some things. You know, I do want to do stuff that I feel like you guys are going to be excited about as well, like a Western month, like Stallone month. Like people really got excited for those 2 months. 1984 too, not so much Buddy Cop, it felt like, but so I do like to do themes to get you all excited, to get you all invested in what I'm talking about, but it also has to be something that I feel like I have a real gap in. So I've seen quite a few Michael J. Fox films. Again, there are some that I could dive into, but are the ones that would be first-time watches for me really worth me doing an entire month ago for? And are you guys going to be interested in me doing an obscure Michael J. Fox movie from the 80s? Are you guys going to be interested in watching that? Or are you just going to want me to do the month so I can review Back to the Future 1 through 3, which I already have reviews for part 1 and 2 on the channel. You can go check those out. And a review for Bright Lights, Big City as well. But again, I would love to talk about Secret of My Success, some of those other movies. I love those movies. So definitely a possibility. There's a possibility for all of these. I'm going to keep the same month thing going for as long as I can. But thank you so much for the recommendation, man. Jeff Assassin, one of my biggest supporters on the channel. I love Jeff. He's been here since pretty much the beginning. Love Jeff. Just want you to know that, Jeff, you're out there. Always appreciate your support, man. He says video game collection, Ken. Maybe you could do something like that. Something different besides movies. I do have a video game collection video up on the channel that I released, I think, back in late 2020. Back in November or something. I show off my entire Xbox collection. So I go through all of my Xbox games, the original Xbox. I show off my Xbox 360 collection, and I show off my Xbox One collection. So I haven't got the new latest Xbox, but I do have a video up on the channel showing off those 3 generations of Xbox. Now with PlayStation, I have significantly less because I was honestly a bigger Xbox guy, in particular throughout the 360 era. Like I've got like 150 games from the 360 era. So I can possibly, if I remember, link that down below so you can check it out. But it's an early video on the channel, so it might be interesting to watch. But yeah, go back and check that out if you want to know what video games I have in my collection. Just my thoughts on games in general. But yeah, definitely would be. I would love to do more gaming stuff on this channel. I just don't know how that stuff would translate, how it would do. I don't know how you guys would accept that on the channel, and if it would be worth it for me to really dive into. Or should I just start another channel where I talk about games? I honestly just I don't have the time to split between games and movies, though, to be honest. Maybe if I was doing this full time or something. Lapke Vision Film said, in the beginning, how did you get established on YouTube? Like, what strategies did you use to build an audience? That is interesting. That's an interesting question, because I often say when people ask, oh man, you're really growing. Like, I get this comment all the time. To be honest with everybody, that kind of stuff makes me feel a little uncomfortable, because I am very self-deprecating sometimes. I don't feel like I deserve a lot of the things I have in life. It's a really weird thing. I feel like I've worked hard to get to where I am and to get to have the things that I have. I do feel like I've worked hard for a lot of stuff. And I feel like to a certain extent, I deserve what I have. But then there's also a side of me that's like, I'm not really worth what I have. It's a really weird thing. I'm really... that's why sometimes it can come across to you guys. I've heard this comment before. Ken's really humble. You know, he's a humble guy. I do feel like I am humble, but a lot of that stems from me just being such an insecure person and just such a self-deprecating person. But what I can say about that, again, not to go to a dark place or anything or be negative, is that this has really helped me a lot. This has really helped me a lot in terms of just verbal communication. And yes, I'm just talking to a cellular device right now, but I know that there's people that's going to watch this video. I know that you guys are out there and you're going to watch it. So I am communicating to you all. This has helped me in life. Like I found myself being a better communicator in life. And just in general, and just having a little bit more confidence in myself. So I will say it's not all doom and gloom. How did I establish an audience on YouTube? So Lapke, I did not start on YouTube. I started on Instagram, and I started on Instagram under Mid-Level Movie Reviews. That's how I got started. And the name mid-level really stems from that self-deprecating side of myself. I am a mid-level critic. I am a mid-level movie fan. That's where the name came from. That's why I haven't seen every movie ever made. My knowledge on film is not as extensive as some of the other people on this platform. So I want everybody to know that up front. That's why I named myself mid-level, so I could kind of set your all's expectations of me a little bit lower. So I'm the average movie fan. I'm the average Joe. I'm just the guy that sits down and watches movies. I don't really dive into and really pick apart what makes a film and this. All I can do is watch a movie and come back to you guys. I do try to do that kind of stuff sometimes. All I can do is watch a movie, come back to you guys, and just tell you how it made me feel as a person. Like, what was my experience with the movie? And I've gotten comments and criticisms on my reviews and stuff like that say, I didn't review it right. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. Or why did I not review it right? Because I didn't review it the same way that somebody else would review it. Like, this is my channel. This is my thoughts. Like, this is what I'm trying to get across to you guys. And yeah, I'm poor at really stressing what makes a movie work for me and what doesn't. Sometimes I feel like I could elaborate a little bit more. Sometimes I'll be talking to myself when I'm by myself about a movie, and I verbally communicate my thoughts on that movie better when I'm by myself than when I'm in the front of the camera. It's a really weird thing. Anyway, I'm going all over the place again, Lapke. How did I establish myself on YouTube? I just get my foot in the door, man. You get your foot in the door, you start capitalizing on the trends. I think that's really important. So I love doing Blu-ray hunting videos. That's kind of how I got started. And that's kind of how the channel popped a little bit in the beginning, was the Blu-ray hunts. Like, people really liked seeing those, and I really took inspiration from people like Durant Cinema and Cinema Sickness and Cool Duder and some of those people that I just loved watching week to week. So you go out in stores, you show yourself with the latest new release, and people are clicking on that stuff. People like that stuff. So that's a way to grow. Also, starting the physical media reports, just kind of capitalizing on what's coming out that's new, just updating everybody to be that source of information. What you got to understand with YouTube is it's a give and take. So you have to offer people something. You have to offer people something that they can't get anywhere else. So I'm constantly just thinking of ideas. What can I do that not everybody else is doing? And what can I do in a way that is different from everybody else? And maybe kind of take the idea, but maybe spin it in my own direction. So I think, capitalizing on the trends and stuff like that, and talking about the latest news, talking about the latest stuff, reviewing the latest 4K releases, Blu-ray releases, and all that stuff. That's kind of how you get your foot in the door and really build that audience. And then when you have the audience, then you can start taking a little bit more risk. Like I found myself recently taking a little bit more risk with things like the theme months, going back and reviewing movies that came out years ago. Like I just reviewed Cliffhanger on 4K. That video has a really good amount of views. To be honest, it has the same amount of views as some of my new release reviews that I do on the channel. I think a lot of that's because I created the theme month. I created the expectation for the month of what I was going to do. I got you all excited about me watching Sylvester Stallone movies, and then I put Cliffhanger in 4K review out, and people watch it. So I think that, you have to, in terms of strategies and stuff, I think that it can feel a little gross at times that you're always trying to capitalize off of trends, and it does feel like you're trying to manipulate your audience to a certain extent, but I don't like to think of it in that way. It's really just, it's what's hot right now, and it's honestly what I'm interested in. Like I'm always really excited about the latest 4K release, so it is something I do want to talk about and I do want to show off. So yeah, I hope that kind of answered your question. But yeah, I started on Instagram, and I grew an Instagram account to 10,000 followers before I even started on YouTube. So that definitely helped a little bit get the ball rolling, because I had that place to promote my channel and get some of those people, which I think you'd be surprised. I had 10,000 followers on Instagram and maybe 200 came over to YouTube. So it's not a thing where, hey, come follow me on YouTube, and all of those 10,000 that follow me on Instagram is going to come over to YouTube. It does not work like that. But yeah, it definitely helps kind of build up. And yeah, I think it's also important, just in terms of strategy for YouTube, for anybody that's out there that's wanting to start their own channel, you have to be mindful of what's working and what's not working. As soon as you get something that starts to connect, that starts to click with people, you lean into that, you do more of that. And that is what will really help you if you want to grow. Now, it all depends on what you're doing the channel for. If you're just doing it for regular personal expression and you don't really care about growing, you don't really care about that kind of stuff, then do what you want to do. It's your channel. Do what you want. Now, if you want to grow, and you want to grow an audience and have more people watch your videos and stuff, and you find that things that you're doing are working, you got to lean into that stuff. And sometimes you got to cut things. And even if things you're passionate about, if it's not working, if it's not connecting, you can't be afraid to cut it out. I did a show in the very beginning. This is getting very long-winded, but I did a show in the very beginning. I started at the same time with the Physical Media Report. I started 2 shows on my channel, and this was to kind of organize myself to be more consistent. But I started the Physical Media Report on Mondays, and I started the Haunting of Mid-Level on Thursdays. And the Haunting of Mid-Level was all about me talking about my passion for horror, and just kind of covering horror news and my thoughts on that, doing top 10 lists of my favorite Friday the 13th films, all that kind of stuff. Well, the Physical Media Report started to take off a little bit, but the Haunting of Mid-Level, consistently low views. I think only like maybe 30 to 40 views on that week to week. But the amount of time that took me, it took me even longer sometimes than to do the Physical Media Report. So I was like, why am I wasting my time doing this? People are connecting with the Physical Media Report. I need to do more stuff like that. So I think it is that thing where you have to, try to balance stuff out. Obviously, I still do stuff that I know is not going to get the highest amount of views, but it's stuff I just want to talk about. It's stuff I just want to talk about, so I do it anyway. So it is that kind of model of, one for me, one for you guys, that kind of thing. And yeah, it's just, paying attention to your audience. And sometimes the best way to pay attention to your audience and do what you know that they want to see is lean into the stuff that they're clicking on, the stuff that they're wanting to watch. That's what you have to kind of lean into. So there you go, man. I hope that answers your question. That was very long-winded. I might end up cutting some of that out, but I appreciate you asking that question for sure. Ray Tostado says, will Ben-Hur 1959 and Amadeus be released in 4K? I've heard rumors about Amadeus in 4K potentially coming from the Criterion Collection, so I could see that happening. Ben-Hur is a classic film. I could see that happening for sure somewhere down the line. I don't know. Is that a Columbia movie? I don't know who did the studios. I could see that being released in a Columbia Classics box set volume 3 or something. But again, I don't know if that's Columbia or Sony. I don't know if that's even able to happen. 365 Cine asks, do you talk with collectors on YouTube that are not from the US? I am friendly a little bit on Instagram with some that are not from the US. I do need to have more people. I am going to get and somebody else asked this question down below, but I'm going to get World's Biggest Collectors up and running again shortly, guys. I know some people have been asking me about that, and I've got a lot of personal reasons as to why I had to kind of turn that off for a little bit. But I'm gonna get back into it for sure, and I do want to bring on more UK collectors. But the thing is that I usually can only go live at 9 p.m. And on. I've just got too much stuff going on with the day, the kids and stuff like that. I don't want to push my kids aside to come down here and do YouTube stuff. I film videos during the day when they're at school, and then I go pick them up and I'm with them until 9 p.m. and then I come back down here to do YouTube stuff. So I don't like to do YouTube stuff in between 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock. So I can't at 5 p.m. during the day do a video. But I don't want the people that I have on to have to come on at 4 a.m. in the morning. That's not good for them. So my compromise to that is I want to do some episodes of World's Biggest Collectors with some UK collectors, some overseas collectors, like maybe 11 a.m. My time, like in the morning. Like I could do morning episodes of World's Biggest Collectors. I think that could be cool, and that's definitely a way to get more collectors that are not US based. I have had Canadians on World's Biggest Collectors, so I had not everybody's in the US on the channel, but I do need to get more collectors from that side of the pond on the channel for sure. So I am working on that for sure, man. And that's something I do aspire to do. Highs and lows of it all, asks Cal L Daily. Highs and lows of it all. I guess you're referring to just what's the highs and the lows of YouTube. The highs of YouTube for me, is just the fact that you guys watch me. It's just the fact that anybody clicks on a video with my face on it. It baffles me. It blows my mind. The reception sometimes that you guys give some of my videos, I never would have anticipated it when I started this channel. Honestly, it's crazy. It's awesome. And I just appreciate it so much. I don't think that a lot of you all really understand how much I appreciate you and how much I appreciate everybody that watches my videos. Because if I'm being completely honest, I put a lot of time into this stuff. I really do. And I would not do it if you guys were not watching. I do not do this. I do not come in my basement for 5 or 6 hours a day to think of topics, to watch movies, to film videos, to edit videos, to put them out on YouTube. I don't do that just so, 10 people watch my videos. The fact that you guys watch my videos and receive them so well and give me great feedback and give me great comments, even if they're not the most positive comments. Most of my comments are always constructive in some way, and I always appreciate it. So yeah, I would not do what I do if it was not for you guys. I would have quit a long time ago. I thought about quitting numerous times with this stuff. So, and I guess that kind of goes into the lows of it all. I haven't really experienced too much lows. I've been pretty positive about this platform, I'd say, for about a year and a half, but there was a point in time, and I don't think a lot of people understand this, but I spent the first year and a half of this channel under 500 subscribers. It took me a long time to really gain some traction on here. It is very difficult, and especially when you're trying to do a lot of different types of things and see what sticks. So there was time when I was probably putting more time into the channel back like during the pandemic era, back when I was really trying to grow, than I do now, because I was a little bit more uncomfortable on the camera. I had to cut a lot more stuff. I had to put a lot more work in the editing. So I feel like I was spending more time on this stuff back a year and a half ago than I am now, and I was seeing way less results, and that is discouraging. When I work on a video like I talked about for the Haunting of Mid-Level, when I work on a video like that for, I don't know, 6 or 7 hours, it was something like that. Just the filming, coming up with the ideas and all that, setting my backdrop up. I used to put like old horror VHS tapes behind me and things like that. I spend 6 or 7 hours on that and promote that and put that out there, and nobody watches it. Like that's the low point. That's why, honestly, a lot of people on this platform will just quit. They'll just quit because it's too much to not receive, because when you're a creator, you want people to enjoy the stuff you're creating. That's why you're doing it. You're not just putting this stuff out there for fun. Like that's it. I mean, some people might be perfectly fine putting a video up and it gets 2 views and they're just happy that it's up there and they're happy that they created something and it makes them feel good. But most people, when you create something, you talk about filmmakers or writers or, novelists or anybody that creates anything, that does a painting, you want people to enjoy it, and you want people to enjoy it on a massive scale, and you want it to be appreciated. And anybody that doesn't, and that says they don't want that, I think are lying. I think are lying, to be honest. As a creator, you want your stuff to be appreciated. So that's definitely the low point of it all. But again, I've been extremely fortunate. I've been extremely fortunate on here. I'll never say that I haven't been. I get way more than I deserve on here. Absolutely. So I'll never say that I haven't been, but I appreciate the question, Cal. Maria Elena Garcia, which is another great supporter of the channel. I love Maria so much. She said, do you think Conan the Barbarian and Born on the 4th of July will come out in 4K? I think with the star power involved in both of those movies, you got Arnold, you got Tom Cruise. I think at some point you'll absolutely see both of those. I could absolutely see Born on the 4th of July coming to 4K sooner than Conan, but I think both of them could get 4K releases at some point. Jim Powers says, I would like to have a deeper dive on the movie Apex. I'm going to leave Apex alone for a little bit, considering the stuff that's happened with Bruce Willis and things. I don't think I want to really dive into that a little bit anymore. I may do a couple of other Bruce movies, but it doesn't feel as good or as fun to pick apart a Bruce Willis like it did, say, 2 months ago, considering the circumstances. But I appreciate that you want to know more about my thoughts on Apex. David's Horror says, what do you do? And I love David too. David has a great horror channel. Go check David out. What do you, with the download copies that come with your physical media copies? Do you redeem them and stream the movies rather than playing the physical copies? I do. Most of my codes, guys, I give away. Like I give away to you guys, and I haven't been as consistent with that. I try to save them all and give them away on my monthly roundtables. Sometimes I'll do random giveaways on Instagram. Sometimes, this is a reason to check out some of my review videos. Sometimes during a review, I will just hold up the code and I'll be like, hey, there's a code in here, check it out. So, and whoever gets that first gets it. So I give away everything. I don't sell anything. I don't take it from myself. I usually give it all away because you guys deserve that for me. It's the least I can do. I just like doing the giveaways. So, but yeah, maybe I could redeem a couple of them and see what it's all about. But no, I like playing the physical copy if I have it. Kevin Ellis said, have you ever walked out of the theater because the movie was so bad? No. I have never walked out during a movie, even though I've really wanted to a few times. The movie I got the closest to walking out on was The Incredible Hulk from 2003. I remember being, I think, a junior or senior in high school, and I was a huge Hulk fan. I love The Incredible Hulk. I used to have Hulk t-shirts, and I just love the Hulk so much. I love the idea of the story of it. So I went into that movie and I was like, oh, I'm so hyped to watch this movie. It looked so awesome. The trailers were great. I was like, what the hell is this? I can't even remember the movie. I just remember I hated it so much and I almost walked out on it. But that was the only one I got close to. I haven't really walked out on anything else. So there's been movies I wanted. I wanted to walk out on the Grudge remake from 2020. That was terrible. That was so bad. I wanted to walk out on that, but I didn't walk out on it. But thank you so much for the question, Kevin. Ocean's Reviews has a great channel himself. Definitely go check him out. Said, how many movies do you tend to watch over a week? I feel like I've answered this recently, maybe on a live stream or whatever, but so I try to watch, I review usually about 2 to 3 movies a week. So I try to watch at least 5 to 6 a week because I've got movies now, because I do the theme months. I'm trying to, watch some of those. I'm trying to watch new releases. I also have movies that I just watch with my wife as well and kids. So I try to watch 5 or 6 a week usually, but honestly, I've got a letterbox, so definitely follow me on there because I track what I watch. I try to watch a movie for every day of the month. So if the month's got 30 days, I try to watch 30 movies. Now, maybe I'll watch 3 in one day and I'll watch none for the next 2 days, but I try to, at the end of the month, have my average be 1 a day for the movies that I watch. So, but that's always my goal. Sometimes that doesn't happen. So I'd say my conservative estimate is 5 to 6 movies a week. But I feel like to catch up with everything that I have to watch all these movies, I have to crank that up to 11 or 12. But it just gets difficult with doing this channel stuff and things like that. You just run out of time to watch the actual movies when you're talking about them on the internet so much. But yeah, usually about 5 or 6. Cal Daly says, why did it take you so long to watch Terminator 1? I've talked about this before, Cal. I talked about this in my Terminator review, which if you haven't seen it, go check it out. But I just loved, I heard Arnold was the bad guy in Terminator, and I loved Terminator 2 so much growing up. I just never wanted to see it. I never had any desire to see bad guy Arnold because I loved him in T2 as the hero so much, and Robert Patrick as T-1000 was always the villain of this franchise for me, and Arnold was always the good guy. I just never had any desire. I was like, oh, Arnold's a villain. I don't really want to watch that. What is that? And I kind of always wrote it off. And as I got older and older and people kept telling me about it, Terminator's actually really good. You need to watch that movie. I was like, yeah, I'm good. You know, I've seen all the Terminators. I'm sure that one's not better than T2, so why even bother with it? And again, it wasn't until recently I went and watched it, and wow, big mistake. That movie is so good. I've even, like my most recent watch, I'm even struggling now with whether or not I would put that above or under Terminator 2. I tend to always gravitate towards Terminator 2 because it's just one of my favorites of all time. Terminator 1 is so good. Like, that movie is the real shit, the real deal with that Terminator. I love that movie. But thank you. Cal Daly says, doing both Married with Media and your channel be good talk. I guess that means that you like it. And talk more on why you're taking a break from World's Collectors. So I did talk about that earlier. It is a little bit of a personal thing that my wife and I might actually address at some point. And that makes it sound more dramatic than it actually is. It's really not that dramatic. But it is one thing. Another thing is I've been doing a lot more like collaborative streams and things like that. And I only have so many opportunities to go live at night and things like that. Like I said, I do a lot of work on the channel at night. So when I've got like 2 live streams on another channel lined up for the week, I kind of just have to put the stuff that I'm, you know, focused on to the side. And also, like I said, there's just been things that have, some emergency situations that have come up here and there. And it's happened like right before I went live. And I absolutely hate the thought. I hate the thought of scheduling a live with somebody else and having to cancel. I hate that. I'd never want to do that. So I am getting back into doing them. I do have a roundtable coming up next week. I've got a killer panel on that already lined up, so you're definitely going to want to check that out. I did a big roundtable in March as well for March, I think at the beginning of April. So I have been doing some collaborative streams here and there. I just did the Stallone movies ranked. I need to figure out how to bring it back in. So I am bringing back World's Biggest Collectors. Again, I'm making it sound more dramatic than it actually is. It's really not that dramatic, but I just wanted you all to understand that I've had to take a little bit of a break from it, a little bit of a hiatus, but it is coming back for sure. My Killer Podcast says, is there a number that would be too many movies? I'm thinking that you mean, is there a number of movies in my collection that would be too many? I've said it many times before, and I talked about it, and I don't know if it was the last video or this video, but I honestly want to be encased in Blu-rays. I just want them all around with this entire room. If I could put them on the ceiling and somehow like glue them in to the ceiling and that be a part of the collection too. I just want the entire room, the floor. Maybe I come in here and I step on them. I don't want to step on them. But I want an entire room, like a padded room, but with Blu-rays. So I would say that when that's done, that would be too many movies and I have to think about getting rid of some. But no, I want to collect as many movies as I want to collect. So if I got to create other rooms, I've got a closet I could clean out over there. I could probably get some of my other movies in. And yeah, my wife wouldn't like it too much, but if I got to bring some of this stuff into the room out there, I'm going to do it. So yeah, I just want to collect all the movies. To be honest, like, I want an archive. And I would love to at some point put my movies in like the year that they came out, because I'm obsessed with like movies by year. So I would love to start with the 20s and just have a good collection of 1920 movies, 1921 movies, 1922 movies. Just have an entire archive of films. And there's always like thousands of movies that are coming out every year. So is there any end in sight? Probably not. I want it all. I want it all, man. I want every bit of it. But yeah, thank you so much for the question, Mel. Appreciate it. Think Tank 03 says, have you ever considered 3D movies? Why or why not? And this is actually the last question that we're going to close on. I've never been big on 3D. I think the only movie I ever saw in theaters in 3D was Cars 2. That was the only movie I saw in theaters at 3D. Now, when I was a kid, there used to be 3D rides at like theme parks and stuff. I remember going to, was it Disney World or Universal? They used to have a lot of like 3D rides. I think there was like a Hanna-Barbera 3D ride at Universal, or maybe that was Kings Island. I can't fully remember. I used to go to a lot of theme parks when I was a kid. I loved theme parks when I was younger. So I like that kind of 3D stuff. But in my house, I've never owned any 3D TVs. I've never seen any of that kind of stuff. I used to watch Jaws 3D with some 3D glasses before. I've watched Friday the 13th 3D. I've got 3D glasses in that Freddy box set that I got back there. So that old school like blue and red 3D, like I've definitely experienced that before. 3D can be cool, but to me it's a gimmick, and it's a gimmick that I don't feel like has really developed in anything that I necessarily enjoy. Like, I like watching films as they're intended to be watched. I don't like watching them pop out at me. That doesn't really do anything for me personally. So in the theaters, I've only seen Cars 2, and Avatar kind of started the craze, and now I think it's died off, almost dead to this point. But I didn't even go see Avatar in the theaters. I watched it at home. So I could definitely see, a lot of people said that was a great 3D experience. I can definitely see the attraction to it, but it's just not something I'm personally into or invested in. But appreciate the question again. And yeah, I appreciate the questions from everybody. You guys are super awesome. I've been here for an hour answering these questions and talking about this stuff. It's super enjoyable. I just love talking about random topics and just getting, I feel like I just get to be more of myself when I do these type of videos. So I don't know how many of you all will actually watch this or not, but I just feel like I get to be myself, and it's super enjoyable, and I love talking to you guys, and I love you guys so much, and I appreciate you guys watching. Please like this video, subscribe to this channel, turn on those bell notifications for all future videos. Comment down below if you got any thoughts on my thoughts on anything. And yeah, follow me on all my social media accounts. Those links are in the description, and we'll see you next time.